So now I'm going to move on to my personal contract and sections that I have added in there because I think that they are extremely important. These sections were not in my contract when I first started, and it is so helpful that they are now. Ultimately, I added them because I had some issues with some previous clients, and it revealed to me that there were missing components of my contract so that I could be as straightforward as I can with future clients. So the first section that I added is the image editing section. I think this section is extremely important for anybody who's a portrait photographer because you're dealing with people's skin, you're dealing with their shape, their insecurities, all that. So I think it's very important that up front you tell people what it is that you are going to edit, and then if they have additional requests, they're able to do that, and you can tell them how much that would cost. Previously, I would just edit whatever needed to be edited in the photo or whatever the client requested that I edit. And so my workflow from client to client ranged by like up to 10 hours, depending on what all they were requesting. So obviously just smoothing someone's skin is a lot different than removing 3 different tattoos on their arms. And so you have to think about when you're editing photos, like for me personally, I'm going to edit like 40 photos per client. Well, every single photoshopping or blemish removal or whatever you're doing 40 times. So every new thing that you acquire in the editing process, you're going to have to repeat 40 times or however many times that you personally edit. And so I just think it's important so that way you can figure out like this is about how long it's going to take me to edit every single photo, and then that way you can price yourself accurately. So in my personal contract, I let people know that I strive to keep the natural beauty of all my clients and my images, therefore I do not make major alterations to any elements of my photos. All my clients receive standard editing. And then I list what that includes. It includes minor blemish removal, skin smoothing, color and lighting correction, and the removal of distracting objects. Beyond that, it is considered an advanced edit, and then I list which advanced edits I will do for an extra charge. So that is extending garments, removing distracting objects, tattoo removal, large scar removal, lint removal, visible brow removal, stain removals, adding elements in, such as more confetti if you're throwing confetti or anything like that. And then I put anything else that the photographer is able to accommodate to, because there's always something you didn't think of. And then I list what I cannot do, what I will not do, and that is body slimming, eye color changes, facial or body part shape changes. That is just me personally. I do not like creating an image that does not depict reality when it comes to how a person looks. I think that's a very slippery slope. Some clients might want that, and it's important that they see in my contract that they're never going to get that from me and that they need to go to another photographer if that's what they're looking for. And then moving on, another section that I think is extremely important to include in a photography contract is your weather policy. There are so many nuances when it comes to the weather, and previously in my contract, I just put, you can reschedule due to inclement weather, and I didn't define what that meant. And I had people contacting me 7 days before a session asking to reschedule because there was a forecast of rain, and it ended up making me never do any photo shoots, and I lost so much money in that process because I was constantly rescheduling due to the fact that my contract wasn't explicit on what that meant. So for me personally, I define every single situation and then what my rescheduling policy is for that type of weather. And I'm actually just going to read you mine. I think it would give you a good starting point. Obviously, you can make alterations to yours. But this is a section where I just think it's important for me to just read it out to you. So I've put on here the photographer regularly checks weather forecasts. However, it is ultimately the responsibility of the client to stay up to date on the weather forecast for his or her personal appointment date and time, and notify the photographer if extreme weather is predicted. The reason why I do this is because it is very difficult for me to keep up with multiple clients' weather forecasts, but it is pretty easy for a client to keep up with just their own weather forecast. So that is why I kind of put that ball in their court. And then I define what inclement weather is for me in my business. So inclement weather is defined as weather that makes photography difficult. We can still photograph in light mist, temporary light rain or snow, moderately low temperatures. It becomes very difficult to photograph in moderate or continuous rain, heavy snow, and extremely low temperatures. Here's the breakdown of all my different weather policies. And so then I go in and I tell people, if there's a 50% chance of rain or higher, you can reschedule. If there's less than a 50% chance of rain, this is what you can do. If it's certain temperature outside, hot and cold, what people can do. And then specifically when it comes to overcast or cloudiness, sorry, got that a little jumbled. I let people know that they can reschedule, but I charge a fee. And the reason why I do that is because the weather is constantly changing. It's almost impossible to predict if it's going to be cloudy or not at a specific time of day. It's honestly hard to predict if it's going to rain at a specific time of day. So I just think that it's important for you to be able to maximize your time and let people understand that the weather is out of your control. I do put in here that I'm very confident in my ability to take pictures in overcast, and it actually is very flattering for a lot of different looks. So it's not the end of the world if they do have overcast skies during their photo shoot. But I think that's important to define every single type of inclement weather that could happen, and then the associated policy behind that. Now, another tip I have that's ultimately yours to change if you like, but something that I think is very important is to wait until 4 to 8 hours before the time slot for that client to make the determination on whether or not to reschedule, because of how unpredictable the forecast can be. I used to do 3 days before, and I have had so many instances, especially in the summer, where I'll have a client reschedule 3 days before because of it says 100% chance of rain on Wednesday. And on Wednesday it did rain, but it only rained for 30 minutes at 2 o'clock. So just always keep in mind that if you're going to go off the weather forecast, you need to be doing a deep dive into that weather forecast, because you need to do checking that hourly rate, and oftentimes you can't check the hourly rate until at least the day before. And so that's why I have that, and my policy is 4 hours before. Alrighty, and then let's see. What else? Garments. I have a section in here about that I am not responsible for any garments getting wet or damaged in any way during the photo shoot. It's ultimately up to the client. Expenses. I have my clients cover my parking fees if I have any. And then if there is additional mileage or permits or anything like that that's not included in my normal package, they know that they have to cover that. And that is everything. So if I do ever add anything, I'll be sure to make a video and explain what that is. But these are very important things that I think that you should add into your contract going forward. Thank you so much for listening. I hope this was helpful, and I look forward to seeing you at my next video on the next step in the process of building a photography business.